98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.
Aoife, you're on 98FM. How are you, Aoife?
Hi, good, thanks very much.
Now, Aoife, tell me what you witnessed.
I was on a flight to Las Palmas. My brother was living in Las Palmas, and I went over to visit him for a few days. But on the plane, on the way over, there was a family that got on. Now, quite a large family, I'd say 20 to 30 of them, ranging from grandparents, aunties, uncles and kids. And they were all sitting down the back of the plane. Thankfully, I was up the front, but even getting on the plane, you could see there was going to be trouble. And I think they brought on their own alcohol and they were drinking it in the toilet. And I mean, it's a 4.5-hour flight, so it's not like it's a short flight. So for that whole 4.5 hours, it just started escalating and getting worse and worse. And the staff just could have no control over them. There were families on the plane, going on their holidays and stuff like that. And when we landed eventually, I mean, I was so glad I was up the front, because even up the front, I felt really intimidated. But when we landed, all we wanted to do was get off the plane, and we weren't allowed off the plane for at least another hour, because the police had to come on and take them all off and arrest them and, you know, get them off the plane before everybody else could get off the plane. So yeah,
while all that was going on, you're stuck on the plane.
Yeah, we've already been on the plane for about 5 hours, you know, by the time you board and take off and all that. So we were on the plane for over 6 hours. And, you know, it was such an uncomfortable flight. Everybody just wanted to get the hell off that plane, you know. So it wasn't a great start to everybody's holiday.
Yes, it is awful. Now, the call from Ryanair is for a ban on the sale of alcohol in the airports before 10 a.m. Would you agree with that?
I mean, I understand people want to have, and I know people that do go on early morning flights, they like to have a pint in the airport. Personally, I don't. I don't like drinking alcohol when I get on a plane, because I think you get worse on the plane. They say a flight in the sky is like 4 on the ground kind of thing. So that's just my own personal experience. But I mean, if anybody wants to have a pint, like, I don't think it matters really what time it's at, but I totally agree with that other caller saying maybe a 2-pint limit. You know, there's also revenue being lost in the airport as well, you know. But yeah, I definitely think there should be a 2-pint limit. But again, you know, there's always ways around it. Somebody might be drinking, they might buy another pint for somebody else. And, you know, I think it'd be kind of hard to control.
Okay, so a 2-pint limit you'd like to see, as opposed to a complete ban on the sale of alcohol?
I think it's reasonable enough. Why would you want to have any more? Like, you know what I mean? I don't understand why somebody would want to get absolutely plastered in the airport before they go on a plane anyway. But that's just me.
Let me just stay there for a second, Eve. Let me run a Dublin Talks text poll right now on 0877 98 98 98. Here's the question I want to ask you. Would you support a 2-pint limit on drinking in the airport? And it's based on your, it can be easily done with your boarding card. And if you've had more than 2, your boarding card or the till won't allow you to be served. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. The question I'm asking is, would you support a 2-pint limit on alcoholic drinks a 2-alcoholic drink limit in Dublin Airport? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Now, I don't know how people have the time for more than 2 drinks, because anytime I go to the airport, I'm rushing through it. So, would you support a 2-drink limit in Dublin Airport before you get on a plane? Now, obviously, if you're in the outside bar and you're not even getting on a plane, you can drink what you like. But that's the question that I would like to ask you. Like, for example, Stuart said absolutely not. Drinks in the airport are part of the holiday. Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Would you support a 2-drink limit in Dublin Airport, well, in fact, in all airports, before you board a plane? Or is that unfair on people who are able to have 3 pints and not cause any hassle to anybody? Text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98, because a lot of people believe that you shouldn't ever need to have more than 2 pints in the airport, and if you do, then you've a bit of a problem. Stephen, you're on 98FM. How are you, Stephen?
Not too bad. How are you keeping yourself?
Stephen, you went to Liverpool.
I did.
And tell me what happened.
The flight was delayed for about an hour. We were on the runway, and it was just like there was about 15 to 20 lads that must have been going on the stag. They were all drinking before they even got on the plane, and the noise, and it was just unbelievable. How rowdy and noisy, and there was a couple of lads arguing over seats and everything. I can't understand how people are allowed to drink so much before getting on a flight. Like, flying for some people is bad enough with nerves and everything. Without so many people jumping about the plane, and as soon as the seatbelt light came off, the amount of people that ran to the back of the plane to go to the bathroom was unreal. Like, even the pilot came over the intercom and said, to the flight attendants to separate them, some at the front, some at the back. He was actually finding it difficult, so I definitely 100% would support a 2-drink limit. Now, people can disagree with me on that, and I'm sure they will.
And in fact, somebody just texted in a moment ago, and I read out the message. Absolutely not. Drinks in the airport are part of the start of your holiday.
But that's so well and good. But if you have kids on a flight, like there were kids on the flight that I went on last weekend, young kids, and you have people rowdy and fighting and arguing and just thinking it's a great old time and all the rest. It doesn't go well for the kids, though, when you think about it like that.
And as I said, that's one of the reasons Ryanair decided to divert that flight on Saturday morning, because of the amount of kids that were on the plane.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I don't really drink. I drink it on occasion, but Jesus, I'd never drink while flying. I've no fear of flying, so I wouldn't be using it for that.
Well, in fact, as you mentioned that, Stephen, Mark is on the other line here, because, Mark, you are a very nervous flyer.
Oh, one of the worst.
Right.
One of the worst. And the guy you just do not want to sit beside, believe me.
Right, but you're such a nervous flyer that a few pints helps you.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow, I'd have at least 5, 6, probably a short with that. Wouldn't even feel it. It would just calm me. I'd absolutely have medication a lot, and it would get me through a 3-4 hour flight without a problem. And I wouldn't be a hindrance or a bother to anybody.
And you just get on the plane and just chill and whatever.
That's it. I'd feel calm within 4 or 5 points. I'd make sure I'm there nice and early. A couple of points. A bit of medication to help calm me completely, prescribed me by a doctor, and I'm fine. Not a problem. I wouldn't contemplate even entering an airport without it.
So, if there were a ban on the sale of alcohol before 10 a.m, which is what Ryanair wants to see happening, this is the second year in a row they've called for this. I personally don't see it happening, but if it did happen, how would that affect you flying?
I would. I wouldn't go ahead flying whatsoever.
Okay, so the couple of pints in the airport are very important for you, not so much to get pissed, but to...
No, I couldn't sit beside someone that's absolutely ossified either. No, I can understand that point completely. But no, if it at all helps anybody with their fear of flying, by all means, yes, let them allow what they want.
Yeah, and Aoife, you were supporting a 2-drink limit. Here's a man who actually needs to have more than 2 pints.
I'd have 4 or 5 in the departure lounge, easy, and I'd probably have a shot or 2 on the airplane while I'm on it, and that's without a shadow of a doubt.
Aoife, you still there?
Yeah.
And
Be a bit of
hold the conversation. I can mess you whatsoever.
I know. I heard him the first time. Like, I understand. Yeah, like, you've got a fear of flying, and that's how you cope with it. But if you're with a gang of people, like if it's just me and my husband or a couple of us going on holidays and we're having a drink in the airport, that's fine. But I think when you do get a gang of people, which we see all the time now, going on planes, 20, 30 people, whatever it is.
Completely a gang of people.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But see, you can't, like...
It's forced flying, like, we understand that. It's about gangs of people.
You can't just say to somebody, I have a fear of flying, so I need 6 pints, and then,
why not?
A gang of 7.
But why can't you? Why can't you?
No, I mean, I'm not trying to get into an argument over who's doing...
No, neither am I, neither am I, but you just can't say, oh, listen, don't give that guy a couple of points, because it upsets you and your husband.
No.
Like, I mean, you and your husband aren't the only people on the plane or on the flight.
No, I'm sorry, you're missing my point. My point is...
No, I think you're missing my point, and I'm not here to argue. I'm giving a valid point.
I can't seem to be able to talk because you keep cutting over me.
No,
point.
No, not at all.
Let her make her point. Come on.
Can I make a point then? Can I make the point? Because I'm not trying to get into an argument. I'm just trying to make a point. I'm saying the staff in the airport, regardless of who's drinking and how much they're drinking, like how are they going to be able to differentiate between somebody who's got a fear of flying and 20 or 30 guys and girls going on a stag?
Somebody just texted in actually just on that about a gang going to a stag or whatever, and here's what one person sent in, and I actually agree with this. Most young people going on an early morning flight to Ibiza are most likely coming straight from a house party to the airport, so the airport drinking probably will not solve the issue because they're arriving into the airport drunk in the first place. Look,
at the end of the day, it's a very small minority of people.
It is.
Out of all the people that are flying that are doing it, but it's that small minority that are going to ruin it for everybody else, So, I just don't know. I think it's a good idea, maybe for the pre-10 a.m. to have the 2-pint limit or whatever. Again, you're talking about, obviously I don't think the airport are going to be in support of it because, they're losing out on revenue or whatnot, but... if the airlines are constantly having to divert flights, it costs them a hell of a lot of money, and it's upsetting a lot of other passengers. So say if you've got a flight of 150 people, and there's 15, 20 people on that flight, ruin it for everybody else. I just personally don't think that's on. And I think the majority of people totally agree.
Okay, Mark, we were asking whether or not there should be a 2-drink limit in the airport. It'd be based on your boarding card, and we ran a Dublin Talks text poll. You won't be happy to hear this, Mark. 56% said yes, there should be a 2-drink limit.
Yeah.
Which means that a lot of people believe that this is a big enough problem that you should be limiting the amount of alcohol consumed in the airport.
I honestly couldn't venture to an airport. I'd probably have to have 6 pounds in the taxi on the way to the airport. That'd be my way around that now. And it's still, I wouldn't feel the effect of it.
All right, well, good to talk to you, and thanks very much indeed for your call. Kevin says Ryanair have some responsibility in this debate. They're the company providing these cheap flights and allowing these people to act in this manner, and they hardly allowed them to act in that manner. Another person suggested earlier on that the pilots stand at the gate when people are getting on the plane and decide, you can come on, no, you can't come on. That's a ridiculous idea as well. What, the pilot becomes a bouncer? I don't know what the solution is, other than the airline getting a little bit stricter on stopping people getting on planes when they think they've had too much to drink, rather than passing the blame onto the airport itself. The airlines need to take a little bit more responsibility to say, I'm sorry, sir, you cannot board this plane.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. Weekdays from 10 a.m. on 98FM.